All right, Pop. First time more successful.
Right.
But what you tell the people?
Guys, if you don't get it the first time, just keep trying, then you'll get it.
Keep trying, you'll get there. Let's see if we can prove it right. Hold on now. Don't rush it. We got to remember what we did last time. We got to turn all the way over.
Okay.
Yep. You got to come down slowly. Flip them hips. Flip them hips. There you go. Okay. All right, now we're falling back on the seat. Come back there. Reach back behind you. There you go. Okay, hold on. Reach back here. No. Reach back here. Reach back here. And you're going to push yourself up. Hold on. You got to keep your hand on this. Push. Move this out the way. Go underneath this so you can push off your dresser. And push off that so you can slide your body up. You got to hang on to something. You can do that. But you got to push this. Drop the leg. You got to push yourself. Sit up on the top of your seat so you don't hurt your foot. Ooh!
I got it! I got it!
Put
You
your
made
belt
it!
on.
Nice
Put your
work!
belt on.
Boom!
Just like that. We could have failed and not tried again.
God, I told you.
Thank you so much for joining us today, Mr. Harris. How may I address you? I forgot to ask you.
You can call me Chase.
Chase. So nice to meet you, Chase. To begin, before we even go into anything, can you please share your social media handle so people can find you?
Yeah, so my TikTok is at Chase_Cashman. My son, Bubba, his real name is Cash. His social media is at Bubba_Cashman13. And then my direct social media on Instagram is IFBBPro_Chase Harris Fit.
Nice. Well, you guys need to go and follow, and you'll see why. This man, it's such a pleasure to meet you. Thank you so much for saying yes to this. I appreciate your time. You blew me away. I discovered you one night on TikTok. You know how it is. We're trying to go to sleep and you're scrolling. And I just felt like this warmth just seeing your son. First of all, how old is Bubba?
He's 5.
Oh my God, he's 5 years old?
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Oh my God, you guys, this little boy, he is a little genius. I thought he was older because he's so alert. He's super engaging, and he's such a strong little man.
Yeah. We get that a lot. A lot of people think he's 7 or 8, but sometimes they think him and Sissy are twins. Sissy is 9, so a lot of times they think they're twins, but no, that's just thanks to her, and we just kind of follow suit. We don't treat him like a baby, so I think he matured a lot faster than most 5-year-olds.
Yes, I think so. He's very aware for sure. You guys need to go and follow and check out these videos, because seeing you allowing us to be a part of his journey of learning how to be out in the world, I think is very admiring. And as somebody that grew up with disabilities, my parents, and I'm not saying that my parents are bad parents, you guys, but my parents took the route of where we don't bring it up, we don't discuss it, you're sick, that's it, and you're limited to what you can do. So once I got out to the real world, I was like, what do we do now?
Right.
I was so babied, and I was almost kept in a little bubble. So when I see that you really push Bubba to do his best, to try, I love that you're don't give up. And even, sometimes he gets really emotional, but you tell him, no, pick yourself up. I really admire that. What inspired you to be that way with your son?
That's just me, to be honest with you. I was that way with my daughter. I'm that way with myself. And so the biggest thing is I never want to cheat him out of attempting to maximize his potential. And with that comes work. It comes discipline. It comes a lot of doing what you don't want to do when you don't want to do it. And so for him, I think I instilled that in him at an early age. And as you guys see, or you see, he has aspirations. He wants to be the greatest Paralympian basketball player. He will even tell you he wants to play for the Dallas Mavericks. And so if that is physically a capability that he can accomplish, I want to make sure that I can say in 10, 15 years, I did everything in my power to give him the opportunity to fulfill that goal that he had for himself. So that's the main reason. It's him telling me what he wants to accomplish and me be like, okay, I'm never going to forget that. Even when you're tired, even when you want to watch your iPad, no, this is the aspirations that you have. This is what it takes to accomplish that. And so that's really how it started. He told me, Daddy, I want to walk one day. Okay, well, this is what it's going to take. It's not going to be easy. And God willing, if it's in the plans for you, we're going to walk. But we're going to do what's necessary on our part to ensure that we can make that happen. So that's really I just follow suit with that.
That is beautiful. That is so beautiful. And I want to say, I think that was one thing. At first, I thought you were a single dad. And I was like, oh my God, no, what happened to Mom? And then I see you have a beautiful wife. And I hope that nobody takes this the wrong way. But, usually when you see parents of kids that have special needs, they look tired, they look worn down, they look anxious, because you're worried. I'm sure you're like up thinking what's going to happen in the future. But you and Mom, I feel like you guys balance it. You guys are like a really good duo.
Yeah, I mean, we have our moments,
Of
but
course.
I think when he was first born, he was in the NICU for the first 6 weeks of his life. So Sissy didn't know. She knew she had a little brother, but she didn't see him for 6 weeks. Then she got to see him for a week. And then it was my birthday, I believe. And then he went right back to the NICU for an additional 6 to 8 because he had to get a trach placed and all this. So it was a lot. The first, I'd say year and a half of his life, we had around the clock nursing. So 24 hours we had, quote unquote, a stranger in our house caring for him alongside us because he had a ventilator. He couldn't sleep just on his own. Well, he could sleep on his own, but someone had to watch the ventilator because water would fill up and it could back up and he could choke. So we had so much going on in our lives to be anxious about in the first year and a half that when we lost the trach, we lost the feeding tube, it was like, whew, we are light years ahead of where we started. So we have to live in gratitude in these moments. And the greatest accomplishment is last year, 2023, Bubba had 0 major surgeries. That was the first year since he's been born that he had 0 major surgeries for the whole year. So, we just try to see the positive in it and understand that it's been worse. It could be way worse. So we're just grateful for where we're at. Wow.
And it also seems to me as you're talking, obviously you have a very strong faith with God. And it seems like you guys put him first in your household.
Absolutely. And as crazy as it is to give you some hind story, when we first found out the whole situation, this is just full transparency.
Yes.
Me and my wife, we weren't on the greatest terms in our marriage after our daughter, sleeping in separate rooms. And one day he told me, you need to be fruitful. I tell you what to do with your life. And so he said, you need to be fruitful. So I walked in my wife's room and I told her, hey, we got to have another kid. God told me we got to be fruitful. I'm going to be obedient regardless of what we got going on. And then 20 weeks of her being pregnant, we found out Bubba was going to have Spina Bifida. And our OBGYN sent us to this doctor who was a specialist in our area. And he basically was leaning more towards abortion. He said, these kids have very low quality of life. You can follow through with it. There is this fetal surgery that you can do, but it's 50-50 chance that the mom and the baby can die. And so from 20 weeks to 40 weeks, every single day, we prayed for healing for Bubba, prayed for healing. When he was born, everything but healing seemed to have transpired, but we just maintained faithful and went through all the hardships, staying in the hospital, the surgeries. Bubba's had over 35 surgeries since he's been born. But we just endured all the hardships, and to see where we are today and the impact that I take myself as I give credit to him, that he has made on this world. Imagine if we would have cheated God of that glory. That's how I see it. And I'm just so grateful that we were able to maintain faithful and obedient during that time, because now he's only 5 years old. Imagine what he's going to do at 10, 15, 20, 25. I mean, he's going to continue to change the world. And we could have easily, out of fear, said no to that. And then we wouldn't be on this podcast right now.
Exactly. And I think that's very powerful what you just said, because sometimes, I was just talking about this the other day with my husband. I said, it's kind of peculiar how we can ask God for certain things, right? And hear his guidance. And we're like, he's not answering the prayers. Like, wow, now somebody in your position, I would have been like, well, am I being punished for something? What did I do? Right.
Right.
But we know that God is love. He doesn't punish us. But sometimes, he knows what he's doing, and he knows, that's why I hate the term he chooses his strongest warriors.
Right.
But he really does. He really does. And this little boy, I feel like, yes, he's going to be amazing. I don't know where he's going to end up, but I can just tell that Bubba has a big, big story. And I mean, he's already leaving so many hearts captivated. Because I know I'm captivated by him. I'm like, what did he achieve today? But you going through that as a male, and as a young man, because you don't look old, Chase.
Yeah, 34.
You're young. I'm older than you. But as a young man, as a male, how did you feel when you found out the diagnosis for Chase? I'm sorry, for Cash. For Cash.
Yeah. It was hard. One, because you don't know what it is. You never heard of it before. So you're not really sure what it means, like what's the severity of it. And Bubba was born in 2018. I lost my father to stomach cancer, August of 2014. Bubba was born April 27th of 2018. And I lost my second father figure in May of 2018. So essentially I'm enduring these trials and tribulations with no guidance. And I think that was the most difficult part, and really what caused me to have a stronger faith, because all I had was God. I don't know what I'm doing. Like I'm new to this. And so there was times where I was mad at God, because I'm like, why? Like, do it to me. Don't do it to this little precious, innocent baby. And so that was probably the most difficult challenge. Is I'm the head honcho. I'm the one that ensures that my wife, my mom, my daughter, that they are all comforted. They are all taken care of. But at the same time, I'm broken inside, because I'm having to watch my main man, my protege, if you will, going through all these things that I can't do anything about. I can just be here and, support him through it, but I can't endure the pain that he's enduring. So that was a challenge. It's still a challenge today. A lot of times I wish I could just cut myself at the waist and switch with him. But, that's just not reality. So you just take it in stride. And one thing that I've noticed is not be selfish and not be pitied, in the sense of Bubba doesn't see his life the way we see it. He loves his life. He's happy. His wheelchair is just an accessory. He'll get out of it. He'll get in it, whatever. So I have to really take that perspective and understand the pain that I feel for how he has to live, I can't place that on him, because he doesn't see that for himself. And the moment I place that on him is the moment all the confidence, all the charisma, all the courage that he has goes out the window, because now I've tagged him with something that if daddy believes it, I have to believe it. And so I just try to make that's internalized, if you will.
Yes.
And I let him be as great as he can be.
Yes. It sounds like you almost feel like this helplessness, right? You could only, like you said, you could only do so much.
Right.
And I feel most of the time, the reason why I kind of was asking you that is because I feel like, when we see, I'm talking to the ladies, when we see our husbands, our mates, our significant others, we see you guys so strong, and you guys are supposed to be Superman, and you guys can do it all. In reality is you guys are human. And right now that you said internalize, my husband does that.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I hope you're talking to God, because, you know, you need to
Right.
let that out. You can't keep that inside. It hurts. It hurts you. So that's amazing. And right now that you said that, that was one of the videos, one of the first videos I think that I saw. Somebody was asking you, you know, how does your son view himself in a wheelchair and not, you know, others, or if he, and I love the response.
So has Bubba ever questioned us about why he's in a wheelchair? No, he hasn't. I think it's because early on when he became in a wheelchair, we call it a bike. So we wanted to normalize it as much as possible. So here at the house, we just know it as his bike. And so it just, the way he gets around, that's just kind of how we look at it. And so I think because of that, because it's so normalized here at the house, and now he has wheelchair basketball, and like he's just into basketball so much, I don't think he really can distinguish an able body versus him. He just knows that, hey, you like basketball, I like basketball, we're the same. So, but also his personality is just, he just rolls with the punches. So I think that helps him as well.
It interested me that you're like, he doesn't see it as anything else than just an
Right.
accessory.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wow, that's powerful. So he doesn't even notice the difference.
I mean, he will see like I have nieces that are 1 or 2, and he'll be like, "What? She can walk at 1 or 2? Wow!" Like he's amazed by it. And you know, the older he gets, he starts to understand the differences. But that's all it is a difference. It's not a disability; it's a difference. And so he knows that, and he's understanding that. But I mean, he came to me, well, more my wife. You can imagine a boy. Mama has his heart. So he talks to mama about his emotions, his feelings. He's a tough guy around me. So he had told my wife that he was kind of sad because he notices that all his friends can walk and do these things and he can't. And so that was within the past few months. So as you've seen, that's been kind of the trend of our videos, is of standing, us taking steps and things. And so it just goes back to what I was telling you, like, if he wants to do it, I will do everything in my power. With my background of being exercise sports science major, I know a lot about the body. I've been a physical trainer for over 13 years. So I know how the body works. I know how the muscles can fire. So I do everything I can to help him in that area. But at the end of the day, his body's going to do what the body's going to do. So we just see what happens.
But it's better for him to be trying it and for him to put his all into it, right?
Correct.
I feel, because if not, then you're just crushing his dreams, and then he will never know what it's like to at least try.
Right.
So I think that's powerful.
And a lot of people don't understand, his walk feels the same as our walk. If he's doing it on, it's independence at the end of the day. So if he's doing it on his own, that's just as fulfilling, just as gratifying to him as whenever we start walking, or the way me standing up in this chair and taking off walking. It's just that security of like, if I want to get up and go, I can get up and go. And at first it may be with some canes or a walker, but who knows what eventually it may be. But either way, you're walking. It doesn't matter what you're walking with, you're walking. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, as you see in some of the videos, like he gets excited. That first time where I grabbed his hands and he took those steps and he said, "I'm gonna be on the news again." That, like, he's so excited. He knows how powerful it is for him to be able to do that. And so, I mean, I can't steal that from him.
That's like little fuel. That's like his little fuel, I feel.
Right.
No, this kid is just amazing, you guys. And I was going to say, what does a bad day look like for him?
It's funny because we don't joke about it, but I mean, you don't see it. So Bubba could have, which last week when he was sick, he could have 105 fever. He's going to say, "Oh, I'm cold. I'm cold," but he's still going to watch TV. He'll still laugh with you. He'll still smile, but he's going to have fever type symptoms. But Bubba, he doesn't throw fits. He doesn't whine. Like, he's a sensitive guy, so his feelings get hurt. But, I mean, he snaps back pretty quick. But I've never seen a bad day on him, really, to be honest with you.
Wow. That's amazing, Chase.
Makes life easy.
And I always say our kids are a reflection of ourselves. So obviously this little young man, because you guys, he is a little man. When you guys go and find him, if you guys haven't already, when you guys go and find him on TikTok, he is, I seriously thought he was like 8 years old. I was like, oh, he has to be 8. He's super resilient. He's very motivating. I myself, I'm going to be 38 this year. And I struggle a lot with mobility because at 32, I was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis. So, just adding to my list of stuff, right? And then, and so sometimes I get embarrassed. I'm like, I don't want to use my walker because I don't like the attention on me. I don't want to do this. And, you know, Bubba's video will pop up and I'm like, get over it. Get over it, Maribel, and just keep on going. Just keep on going. You know, so he even motivates me, a soon-to-be 38-year-old. I'm very touched by his example that he puts forth. And to hear that he's such a resilient young man, that he doesn't even have bad days, or you can't tell his bad days. Wow.
Yeah, he's extremely compassionate, and you almost want to say selfless. Like, my wife will try to ask him stuff. Like, it could be like, Bubba, does my hair stink? She'll get back from the gym and say, Bubba, does my hair stink? And he'll be like, ah. Like, he doesn't want to tell a lie, but he won't tell her yes either. And so
he doesn't want to hurt her feelings, but he doesn't want to lie to her.
Right. So he just will he'll just kind of change the subject. But that's just his heart. He's just a sweet, caring little guy. But when it's time to go to work, he'll strap it on and he'll go to work. It's just, he can do it all. He really can.
Oh my goodness. Now I have a question regarding your daughter. How has it affected her? Because I think many of the times we focus so much, you know, that was one of the things in my family. I could speak for myself. My siblings kind of, I think, unconsciously blame me for getting so much attention as a child and them not having the attention. So it's kind of caused like a rift between us. But my parents were so young, and you know, they were immigrants to this country. They didn't know the language. And so many things happened, right, as we grew up. But I see your daughter, when you guys do videos, you know, all three of you, she's super sweet and super caring. And I always wonder, like, has it affected her in any way?
I miss my dad.
What does that say?
What is this?
Sound it out.
Clap. Clever.
Sound it out. Oh.
I miss my father.
Wait, Bubba. Do you notice anything? Look, Bubba.
This is
He has a bike.
This is ridiculous.
He has a bike.
Oh, this is crazy. Okay.
Okay, next week.
We must continue.
Keep reading.
We must continue. I see my coat.
No.
Cubby. I see my desk.
There you go.
I see my book. I see my nickel.
What is that?
I don't know.
Look at it. Sound it out. What is the picture? What is the picture?
It's a K-E.
No, but what is the picture of?
Box.
Try to read it again. Sound it out. Sound out the word.
K.
No. What it says? I see my.
Name.
There you go.
Name.
I didn't know you could read, G.
Is it porcupine book?
I didn't know you could read.
Yes. It says, can you please get my eagle book too?
I think she goes through her she has her moments. But I'm sure as your family was, you have to have those discussions and explain that our dynamic is different. It's not bad. It's not, or like better or worse. It's just different. Like the same way we don't want to have to give Bubba all the attention sometimes. He doesn't want us to give all the attention sometimes, but kind of going back to his heart, he is so sweet and genuine. He loves his sister so much. He is very intentional about making her feel important, but as well as my wife and I. So she's shy, as some people will see from the videos. So, but like last week, it was just me and her that went to the Mavericks game, or she'll go get her nails done with my daughter, or once a year, we always take her on a daddy, mommy trip. And so it's just us three. We go and we hang out, do whatever she wants to do. So we try to be very intentional about her feelings, especially, and this is not saying anything bad, but especially her being a girl. She has a lot more emotions and feelings than Bubba's like, all right, see y'all later. I'm chilling with Nana. Like, see you when you get back. He don't care. But it affects her a lot more. So we're very intentional about that, but Bubba can get it just like Sissy can get it. So that, I think that helps our dynamic. She doesn't feel like he gets an easier route, because if he get in trouble, he's going to get the same punishment that she's going to get. He's messing up in school, he's going to lose his privileges the same way she loses her privileges if he's disrespectful. So it's an evil playing field in that. So they don't see the difference in one another. She loves her brother so much, at 9 years old, she sleeps in his bed because he makes her feel more comfortable and safe. So
that is so sweet.
So they're very, very close. So there's no competition. And like I tell her,
I feel like the key word that you used was intentional.
Mm-hmm.
You're very intentional. Because I think, there are certain things that can escape you if you're not looking for that opportunity, maybe to spend with her, to have that one-on-one with her. And
Correct.
Another key thing I think that you just mentioned was communication. Mm-hmm. Being able to talk to, in our household, we call it a little family meeting. Meeting, where we're going to discuss something that either happened or needs to be addressed. And so I love that.
And I do something, I've talked about it before, I don't think ever on a podcast, but I do something that's called a father audit. And so Bubba and Sissy individually, I asked them, tell Daddy 3 things that he does well, 3 things that I could be better at. And I do that pretty much once a month. And that really helps me understand where their heart is, how they see me. And sometimes it's, Daddy, you're doing everything right. Or sometimes it's, Daddy, your tone is a little sharp whenever I ask you questions or whatever. And in that moment, we can speak about these situations, have an understanding of one another. But that really helps the dynamic of our household, because I'm the leader of the house. It's just how it is. And so if the leader isn't leading properly, then everything else is going to dwindle. And so I have to make sure that I am humble enough to accept my children, my wife telling me what I need to get better at, because otherwise, how can they get better?
Amen.
It's not easy all the time.
No, I was about to ask, because obviously you have a lot of responsibility on your shoulders, alone as a man, how do you deal with a bad day? Because I'm sure there's days where you're like, ooh,
yeah,
Jesus, take the wheel.
Right. And so I have a very structured day. I wake up, and just like you said, Jesus, take the wheel. I wake up and I start my day with being in God's word. I don't check my phone. I don't do anything. And I read the word, I pray over that word and ask for direction for that day and that day only. And then I'm a professional bodybuilder, so I work out. That helps me keep my mind clear. It helps me keep my stress low. But I'm also an entrepreneur, and I run about 4 to 5 different businesses. So it can get a little hectic, but I try to be very diligent in when I start work and I end work. The majority of my work by 3:30, that's about the time the kids get home. So from 3:30 to 8:30 when they go to bed, I can apply intention to them and make sure that our days don't just pass. There's at least one moment in that day that they can remember going into the next day.
Wow.
And so, I mean, to answer your question, sorry, I learned early on from a mentor of mine that if you go to Disney World, you're never going to see them in a bad mood. They put on their cape. That's the analogy we use. So I put on my cape. It is not my children's responsibility to take care of my emotions. If daddy is sad, if daddy is mad, if frustrated, it's not okay for me to put that on you. And it's not okay for you to have to take that. You're young, be a kid. And so I need to be emotionally mature enough to manage my own emotions and not place them on them. And I think I do a pretty good job of that.
Yes, you can tell by your children alone. And like I said, your wife is beautiful. And
Thank you.
She seems like she's such a great partner to you. Like you guys just, look well put together. And I don't even feel, because most of the times when you see like family blogs or anything, everybody's like cookie cutter. But I love that you guys are very, I feel like just genuine. Just genuine, just yourself. She's not trying to, be perfect and all that, because she doesn't even need to get all dolled up. Your wife is just gorgeous the way she is.
Thank you.
So what I was going to ask next is, what was your upbringing? I'm very curious. Did you have your dad, your mom? What was your upbringing like?
Yeah, so very different than what my children's upbringing is. So I grew up initially with my biological father and my mom till I was about maybe 3-4 years old. And I remember it's like it happened yesterday. My dad came to me in tears. I was probably 3-4 years old. I wasn't even in school yet. I remember that. And he kneeled down and he said, "Daddy's leaving. I won't live here anymore." And so he left. And that was probably one of the last times that we lived together in the house. He would come in and out, but he had a drug addiction. He was addicted to crack cocaine. And so growing up, it was mainly just me and my mom. But my mom, hardworking woman, so she worked. So I probably started staying at home by myself around 2nd, 3rd grade. And so I started fending for myself. When I see Matilda, I think about life a lot, like cooking for yourself.
No way.
Doing things. Obviously, I had friends whose parents would give me rides. I didn't have to walk and all that type of stuff, but I became very self-sufficient. And so through counseling, I understood that I really became a man probably about 7, 8 years old because of the responsibilities that I had to endure being, back in the day, if you're the only male in the house, even if you're 7 or 8, you're the man of the house. And you take that responsibility serious. And so growing up, I didn't have like a significant father figure directly in my life every single day. So, I mean, I got in a lot of trouble. And then in my adulthood, I never really classified myself as an alcoholic, but I was very irresponsible when I drank and I would drive. And so I am a felon because I have 3 DWIs in Texas. 3 DWIs is a felony. So this was in 2013. So I got convicted of a felony August 10th, 2013. My father passed away August 13th. I was supposed to go see him on the 11th. So that was an emotional downturn for me. So it was a 7-year prison sentence that by the grace of God, I got into this program that was basically 4 years outside of prison. I had to go to court every single week. I had to check in with a probation every single week. I had an ankle monitor, couldn't drive. It was very intense. And if you messed up, you went to prison 7 years, no parole. So it was intense. But through that, it taught me time management. It taught me discipline. And more so than anything, it taught me just self-responsibility. You can't blame anybody for your mistakes. And so my upbringing, being how it was with just the lack of consistency of a father figure, my mom working and all this, that was kind of the outcome. But now, instead of blaming that, I'm appreciative of my upbringing and even the bad choices I made, because I'm glad I made them then. Because my kids don't know that guy. They have no idea. So I but I'm very transparent. Like, Daddy went to that jail. They're like, what? Like, they can't believe it. And so, but I'm appreciative that I can be open and transparent and tell my kids, because of my bad decisions, this was the outcome. One, because they're scared. They don't know to deal with that.
Yeah.
But two, they know I'm not perfect. I'm flawed just like anyone else, but my heart is good. And my heart will always be to make sure that their life is the best it could possibly be.
And at what point did you come across God?
As a kid, I used to go to church as a Southern Baptist with my dad as a kid. I think when I was a child, I had my first experience in church of God's presence. But during that process, I was in a AA class, and I was just scrolling on my phone because I didn't want to be there. And the church I was going to at the time, it said something about baptism. And so I walked outside and called it, hey, I want to get baptized. I want to reestablish my relationship with Christ. And so I did that, but they asked me to tell my testimony. And so they came to my house, they recorded, they did all this. It was this big thing. And so they put my testimony out in front of the whole church. And that's when I truly started making an impact on the world. And that was in 2013.
Wow.
And so December of 2013.
Oh my goodness. So 2013 was a big change for you.
Oh, yeah.
It was a big year. Oh, yeah. Wow. And then you said you lost your other male role model as well, correct?
2018. Yeah. No, a stepfather. My stepfather taught me, it's funny, my biological brother, or my brother from my biological father, he called me. He saw Bubba's video, so he called me crying. But he was like, man, when I watch Bubba, I see Cliff. And he was like, I love Dad. Our dad's name was Randy. He was like, I love Dad, but the leadership, the motivation, all that, I see Cliff, because that's how Cliff used to talk to people. So my stepfather was a very profound man and very respected, because he had come from nothing and created a life for himself. But the way I am is from him. And I didn't realize that growing up. But now as a father, the way I discipline, the way that I'm a no BS type of person, that's all him. He wouldn't let me get away with nothing. And so the same thing with my kids, they don't get away with anything. But in that, I think they appreciate the structure that is applied to their life.
Of course. And, even if they don't get to see it now, definitely when they get older. Because I know I've looked back at things now as a soon-to-be 38-year-old, and I'm like, wow, that's why my parents did that.
Yeah.
it all makes sense now.
Yeah.
But that's very powerful, because, yeah, you did have to grow up very young. Very, very young. How has, marrying your wife, being with her, creating a family with her, how has she added to you as a man?
Yeah, so much, truly. She lost her mother at a young age, which was basically her best friend. So she's had her emotional issues that she's had to battle and deal with. But I tell her all the time, no one can handle me like the way you do. I'm hard to deal with. But we've been together since I was 20 and she was 17. So we pretty much raised each other, if you will. So she knows me, I know her. And sometimes, we got to stand toe to toe and let her, this ain't finna, we're not doing this. This was back then. This is not today. And so, but we have a dynamic where we understand that we only want the best for one another. And so regardless of what we're dealing with, what we're battling with, I want the best for her. She wants the best for me. I trust her. She trusts me. And I think, that's the best thing for our children to see. They see the good, the bad, and they see the ugly, but they have comfort that this right here is going to be consistent.
It's a solid foundation.
Yes, they don't got to worry about stepmom, stepdad. That this is here. This is rooted in Christ, and because of Christ, and sometimes Christ only, we ain't going nowhere.
I love that. Oh, yes. Yes. So this year, I'm going to be celebrating in a few months, actually. I'm going to be celebrating with my husband. Is it 17? 17 years of marriage? Yeah, 17 years of marriage.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And let me tell you, I understand you, Chase. Sometimes we want to...
Yeah, 2 bricks.
Yes.
Oh,
I'm like, oh, I want to just it's very, very difficult. And I think it's, I love that you're being so transparent about it, because you recognize there is bad days. There is, I'm sure, disagreements that you guys have.
Right.
But one thing that I can tell, just the way that you express yourself about your wife, is that you guys have a lot of respect for each other.
Correct.
And I think that is also, very basic to the foundation. You have to have that respect.
Yes.
And that doesn't mean that, she says yes to everything you say yes to.
Correct.
But it's trusting in each other and respecting that the other one has the best at heart, I think is very important.
Yeah. And I tell my kids, I'm responsible. So if they're disrespectful to mom, it could be because they're hearing my tone being too sharp. And so they think it's okay. So I explain to them, I'm going to start it. So actually my word for 2024, we do a word every single year that we want to focus on. My word is gentle. I want to approach individuals with a more gentle tongue, and just overall demeanor, because I'm rough. I'm raw. Like, you ask me a question, I'm going to tell you what's exactly right here and right here. I'm not going to analyze you and think about what's going to hurt your feelings. I'm just going to take straight. So I'm trying to do better about that. Yeah. But in that, they've seen me be maybe too direct and raw with my wife, so they can do the same thing sometimes. So we're turning a leaf this year. Let's say that.
I love that. No, I love that. That's actually a very good idea, to have a word for the year. I know we wrote out our family rules when my son was really young. We only have one son. And so, it was be kind to one another. So every time that me and his dad would argue when he was younger, now he's 15, he's going to be 16 soon.
Wow.
Now that he's a little bit older, he's like, Mom, you can't be kind. Remember the rule? Be kind, Mom.
Right. Right.
Oh,
you don't want to hear that.
Stupid rules. No. No,
exactly.
But wow. I feel so honored to have been able to have this time to get to know you a little bit more, to get to tell you that you guys are doing an amazing job.
I appreciate it.
And I just can't wait for people to find you. I know that you already have a pretty big following.
Yeah, it happened pretty quick.
Yes. But very deserving. Very deserving. So you guys go and check out Chase, just as it sounds like the word Chase, _Cashman on TikTok. And then all his other social media handles. If you guys are watching us on YouTube or Spotify, you can see it on the screen, but you will also find it in the description box. So even if you're not watching the video, go ahead and go to the description box. I'll have your links there for them to find you guys and connect with you.
Thank you.
And so once again, Chase, thank you so much for your time. I really hope nothing but the best for you and your beautiful family. Please say hi to your wife for me. I love her.
I will do.
I'm a fan. And Bubba and Sissy too. So you guys, thank you so much for tuning in, and I'll catch you next time. Bye.